Yeah, if good music for the soul is what you're trying to find to ease the stress from the grind when it's time to unwind, then look no further, cause we got just what you need. Doctor's orders, call me in the morning, take 2 of these. And if you're having withdrawals from music addiction, all you have to do is call and we can fill your prescription. No symptoms, cause we got just what you need. Doctor's orders, call me in the morning, rinse and repeat.
My guest today is Amerigo Gazaway. Amerigo is a triple threat in the music world as a skilled DJ, producer, and MC. With a process the LA Times' Randall Roberts described as drawing a different design within a similar framework, his innovative mashup productions such as Fela Sol and the Miseducation of Eunice Waymon seamlessly blend elements of funk, jazz, and classic soul and hip-hop to create a sound that is both nostalgic and modern. On stage, Amerigo's performances are enhanced by his skills as an MC, captivating audiences with his sharp lyrical delivery and charismatic stage presence. His dedication to craft has earned him a dedicated following, and he continues to leave his mark with every release. And I would like to go on to say that Amerigo was one of the very first guests to ever come on this podcast, and I'm happy to say I like to call him one of my oldest friends, even though I don't get to see this guy much because you have moved to beautiful Croatia, and
yes, sir.
I don't make it over. I don't make it overseas much, so I haven't seen you in. Well, so first you went to San Francisco. I never caught up with you while you're still in the States.
Yeah. Well, we when we did the last episode, I was living in Berkeley and San Francisco. So yeah, I guess we kind of connected.
It's been a long because you were there like. You were one of the very first people. You were episode 6 of this podcast. It's funny. I fucked up reading your bio because when you, I don't know if you recall very much, but back then when I tried to read people's bios, I was just tripping over my words.
Oh no, you sounded great.
I was gonna say, hey man, does it seem like I've come a long way? And then I immediately was like, he's an MC slash. So you were.
No, it sounds great.
So yeah,
I like the narrator voice too. You had like
my guest today is Amerigo Gazaway. Amerigo Gazaway is a triple threat. threat. Yeah, dude. So last time I talked to you, you were in Berkeley. Previously, were you in Berlin? You up in Berlin, maybe?
I was like preparing. We were actually planning on moving to Berlin. Maybe it was around the time we did the last episode of the podcast where you had me on. But I think around that time, it was like maybe before the pandemic, we were planning on moving to Berlin from Berkeley. And then the pandemic happened and completely like kind of derailed everything, threw our life upside down. And then we somehow ended up here in Croatia. So.
Okay. Cool.
I mean, not somehow. My wife is from here originally. That's, her family's here, her mom's here, and she got a job here. So we ended up pulling the trigger during the pandemic and just coming out here in 2020, which was kind of a rough year for everybody, I think, and for us too. It was definitely kind of rocky, but now we're kind of settled in here, and yeah, I'm starting to get adjusted to the expat life.
That was I think a lot of what we might have been talking because I started this podcast at the very beginning of the lockdown. The day of kids meal was supposed to come over to my house and record the first episode, and they locked the whole city down. They're like, nobody go anywhere, all the shit. And I was like, well, shit. And that was the first time I ever used Zoom.
That's perfect.
Yeah. And now
it's like you were ahead of everybody. You started a podcast on like day one of the everybody else like waited 6 months in, then started a podcast. You did it like
no, because the podcast was already like on like up and running, but it was going to be all recorded in Nashville. I'm kind of fucking. It really worked out more that like I ended up learning like that I should use Zoom off the bat because it gave me so much more reach. Like just immediately I was able to start talking to people anywhere, anytime. And it was kind of, but yeah, man, let me put my ignorance on display real quick, but I want to see how close I can catch to like what Croatia is like. So when I was a teenager, you know, REI, like the outdoor outfitters, they had this catalog and it was like adventure, like tours. And somehow I had gotten one, like my mom had bought something in REI, and so they sent this catalog in the mail, and they're like, and I would flip through it, and it was all the shit I could never ever afford. It was, thousands of dollars to go on these trips. And the coolest one was Croatia. And every photo, I was like, damn, this looks like a paradise, dude. And the trip was like the adventure they took you on was like you went mountain biking around all these crazy like cliffs that were by the ocean, and then you like got off your mountain bikes and got on sea kayaks and like sea kayaked around.
Wow.
Is that what Croatia's like? Is it like a bunch of cool cliffs and beautiful like deep blue water? Or
that's a pretty accurate description of it. I mean, not all of, a lot of it's like villages and farmland and, the capital city, Zagreb, where we live, which is kind of just more of an, just metropolitan kind of area. But, once you start getting, into the nature areas of Croatia, it's really beautiful. Like Plitvice lakes. I don't know if you've heard of that. There's this beautiful, like 5 or 6 lakes that all kind of like are merged together in the same spot. And like, there's paths you can walk and waterfalls. And it's just like, just look it up. It's crazy. But like, we've been there once. We want to go again, actually, because it's like experiencing it in the different seasons, like winter and fall is like a completely different experience. But
yeah.
And then, every summer now that we've been here, and even before we lived here, we used to come every year to visit my wife's mom and my mother-in-law, and we would come, and we always try to go to the coast, which is, now it's just like a bucket list thing we got to do every year. Like we go to the coast. And
do you guys have surf?
No, because it's the Adriatic Sea, so the sea is very calm. It's a sea. It's not an ocean. There's not a lot of waves,
Okay.
So it's very, very calm, but beautiful. There's tons, like thousands of islands that you can go to, and you can just go island hopping, go beach hopping, and take boats to different islands and go to beaches, or like there's caves you can explore, and these mountain bike trails and all types of stuff. Really, I haven't even scratched the surface. Like, we go camping on this island called Sres every year. We usually bring our dog, and they have a bunch of dog beaches there, and then this summer there was this cool doggy beach bar that we brought our dog to. It's like called Monty's, and it's in Croatia. And it's so popular, it's taken off so much. I think they're opening one in LA now, which is a brilliant idea. But it's basically a doggy beach bar. You bring your dog and you can just hang out, and they have like dog beer they can drink, and the dogs are just running around everywhere and splashing. And so that was really fun. But Croatia's beautiful. And we love being here. We just bought an apartment here by the lake in Zagreb, Jarun. And
so what language do they speak in Croatia? And to display my ignorance even further,
they speak Croatian, which is
okay.
Croatia. The history is pretty complicated. I don't know. They would take a whole nother podcast to probably get into the whole history.
No doubt.
Of former Yugoslavia and Croatia and the war and Serbia. But anyway, Croatia used to be part of what used to be called former Yugoslavia, and then it kind of dissolved and broke up into a bunch of different countries. And there was a war in the 90s here, like in the mid 90s. Like my wife, she was a refugee of war, and like had to, her and her mom had to escape the Serbian troops, and it was pretty crazy. But
literally just had a Serbian guest on the podcast recently talking about that war. Because
really?
She came here as a refugee, as a baby from that.
Yeah. No, a lot of people, it's still pretty fresh. The wounds are still pretty fresh. But I think a lot of the young people are also trying to move past it and trying to like work towards letting go of some of the stuff. Some of the past transgressions that happened, because it cuts pretty deep, and it's still a lot of the holidays and stuff here are still all war related. It gets brought up a lot. It's still fresh on everyone's minds, and especially now with all the other wars in Europe, it's just really triggering for
absolutely,
for
man,
in this region. But aside from that, we're part of the EU now, so hopefully that'll kind of keep us okay for now. In terms of
So you guys spend euros? Is that like your money?
Yeah, we were actually we switched to the euro earlier, beginning of January this year. We were on the Croatian kuna, which the kuna, I guess the coin was named after like a kind of like a Croatian weasel or like mongoose type creature.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say a dictator. A weasel was awesome, dude.
yeah. And the kunas, the coins were called kunas, which was slang for this, or the word for this kind of creature. But all the kunas had like little like animals that represented Croatia on it. I actually kind of miss them, but at the same time, like we're switched to euros now, and so it is easier for me to calculate, because the kuna, it was like one kuna $1 equaled like, I forget how many kuna. It was just hard to calculate it. So yeah, for me as an dumb American, I can easily calculate euros now. But the problem with that also is once we switched to the euro, like the prices here jumped up like crazy. Everybody used that as an opportunity to jack the prices up. And so when I first came here in 2020, it was actually like, pretty affordable, especially for an American expat who makes most of his money abroad. Like, and now the prices are almost getting close to what they used to be back in the States and like where we used to be. So it's not, not as good as it used to be now that we switched to the euro. But
damn, you guys should do a what was that? I'm trying to think of a way to say Brexit, but with Croatia, Croexit.
Yeah, Croexit.
Yeah. Amerigo,
no, I mean, we were trying to get into the EU. Croatia wanted to be part of the EU for a while, and I think there are benefits that come with that. Sure,
all the Londoners I know, man, they're pissed about Brexit. They're like, this shit fucked us. A lot of people, especially musicians, they're like, dude, you can't like if you have a crew that's like if they're all British, they can't roll with you because there's like some kind of it fucks the laws are all crazy now.
Wow.
Because you're like when they were all in the EU, everybody could just travel together, and now it's like like your union doesn't apply to like a European you know what, man? I don't know the ins and outs. I've just heard people complain extensively about it.
No. I mean, even just shipping records to Britain now is super expensive for me because they're not part of the EU. Every other country I ship to now, because I'm in the EU, it's fairly cheap. But now it's like super expensive for me to ship a record to some dude in London that buys it. So there's little things like that, but
that's too bad, man.
It's a trip, man. It's
God, all right. It's
living in Europe.
it's settled, man. I am going to commit a heist. You've inspired me. I'm going to commit a heist, and I'm coming to visit Croatia as soon as my son is old enough to get on an airplane. I mean, I'm sorry. Technically, he's a baby. It's not like I can't put him on an airplane. But I'm going to wait till he can like sit up. We're getting on an airplane. We're coming to Croatia. Obviously, we can't surf, but we're going to do maybe like paddleboarding is fun too, man. It's like
they do a lot of paddleboard here. Yeah,
more meditative. Can you can you what's that shit called? What's the surfboard with the sail on it?
Oh
wind surfing. Can you go wind surfing?
There's a lot of there's the Buddha and what's the other name of there's two different types of wind here that they call. One comes from the mountain. I forget the other name. Anyway, there's that. What was I saw the other day? I saw some dude on the electric surfboard out there. Like, have you seen that?
Oh, like I have seen those.
It's like floating above the water and he's zipping. I was just like, whoa! Like I was tripping out. I was like, what is that? So,
last time I was surfing, I've mostly only seen those like in video clips and shit. I don't see them in because I don't I'm landlocked, man. But last time I was surfing, I saw a dude on one of those, and I was like, you're fucking cheating.
It is kind of cheating. Yeah.
Okay, man, Amerigo. I know. Look, I want to catch up with you forever, man. But you didn't come to this podcast to talk about how you're an international man of music. The fact is, you recently made a big announcement. I think you made a reference to Andre 3000's flute album, just kind of a little bit as an analogy to something to yourself.
Yeah, thanks for catching that. Yeah.
I thought it was well put, man. Because a lot of people obviously they didn't personally give him shit because I bet he's pretty hard to reach. But people were like, "Fuck Andre 3000. This isn't Outkast," and it's like he never said it was Outkast, man. He just made a flute album, but don't listen to it if you don't like it.
Pretty transparent about it, yeah.
Yeah, but my question is, man, have you completely changed directions as an artist? Are you just evolving? Like, what's going on with you musically right now? Why are you having to make these announcements?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really an announcement. It was more just kind of a response to the whole Andre stuff. I feel like it's kind of serendipitous that Andre dropped his flute album the same day I dropped Radical Dreamers, because it really kind of helped shift that conversation to kind of what I was trying to get at with Radical Dreamers anyway, which was kind of just reinventing myself a little bit, or taking an opportunity to reinvent myself a little bit, because over the past decade or so, I've made a name for myself as this remix mashup producer with my Soulmates series, and I've had a lot of success with that, and I'm super grateful, obviously, for all the fans and listeners and supporters, and all the opportunities I've had to like travel the world and meet legends and collaborate with people. But at the same time, it's been like a huge uphill battle with the copyright stuff, really. And
yeah,
you know, that's always kind of been a monkey on my back. And it's always like, I'm always like one step away from getting like all my accounts banned or shut down, like it's really put a lot of pressure on me in terms of like actually monetizing what I do and like, being financially stable as an artist. And as much as I love doing it for the love and putting out these remix projects, like it's just getting harder and harder for me to share them with people.
yeah.
And so that's part of it, and that was a big part of it. And I think that contributed to, like, over the past few years, that kind of contributed to my lack of, let's say, interest in pursuing the whole mashup remix DJ thing as much as I used to, is just because of this constant, like, take down notices, cease and desist, slaps on the wrist, like threats from lawyers and
yeah,
getting my videos removed on YouTube and
it's got to be exhausting, man.
It's exhausting. Yeah, you put your blood, sweat, and tears into this stuff, and then it gets shut down the next day without any questions asked, and people didn't even really get to hear it or experience it, and so anyway, so yeah, I was part of it. Part of it was speaking from that perspective of just kind of like just trying to give my fans and be transparent with my fans and everybody about kind of what I've been going through.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of other DJs have been going through it too. And so I think a lot of other DJs actually commented and like reached out to me like, yo, you really articulated kind of like what I've been going through too. And how I'm trying to like basically kind of transition into like becoming a real artist, you know what I mean? And like, I think for a lot of my fans, they don't really know, because you grew up with me, that like, before all the mashup stuff, like I was just a beat maker, producer, MC, like just trying to make dope music. And so I guess now I'm just kind of like getting full circle back to that, and
I guess in a way too, like it was kind of a surprise to me that, hold on, my dog opened the door and my kid's yelling, so I'm gonna
yeah.
Hold on.
All good.
Sorry, man, I'm in domestic chaos. No, I was gonna say that like
that's character.
When I was reading when when you're talking about, hey guys, I'm taking a different direction, I'm now I'm fully an MC. To me, that was kind of a surprise because that's how I've always seen you. Never was I was like, Amerigo's an MC now. It's like you've been doing that since the day I met you, and probably before then. I mean, since we were like literally children, like minors.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you don't mind, man, I don't want to rehash things you've already said on the podcast, but I just want to do it because when you were first on this podcast, like this was like, people in Nashville that knew about this, and that's, that was it. This is a whole different ball game now. A lot of different people, a lot of people have never heard anything you've had to say. And I just want to, all that cease and desist shit, I feel like we should maybe just not spend a lot of time on it, but talk about the story of you had a photography assignment. You were at the Exit Inn with Questlove. He was performing. You handed him a CD, and that kicked off a lot of things, including a cease and desist, which you also had a pretty, what I would say, like clever and funny way to like kind of say fuck you to the record company. Can you just kind of share that little nugget?
Yeah. I mean, starting with the the Questlove thing. Yeah, I mean that was just I had been in college, and in Nashville working on this project called Fela Sol. It was basically kind of inspired by like, Danger Mouse and what DJ Wicket, another Nashville native, had been doing with the mashups. And so I was like, I had this idea to create Fela Sol, Fela Kuti and De La Soul. And it was really just a fun idea at the time. I had no plans of like continuing the series or anything like that. It was just like a fun idea. And then when I heard Questlove was coming to town, it was just kind of like one of those light bulb moments where it's like, if there's one gatekeeper in the hip hop world that needs to hear this record, it's Questlove. Who's the biggest fan of both Fela Kuti and De La Soul? It's Questlove. And so I just took it upon myself. I was like, if anybody needs to hear it, it's him. It's not, I wouldn't do that for any artist that comes through town. It was just like a specific like stars lined up moment. So I was like, I got to get this CD to him. And so, I took my camera down there. I posed as a press photographer. I got backstage. I think I waited till like the very end of the night and, gave him some daps, gave him the CD, and he was surprised. He was like, "Oh shit, like what is this?" And then so a week later, like I think I tweeted him about it, and OK Player posted it, and OK Africa, which his sites that he runs, and that really kickstarted my career, man. I like shout out to Questlove, shout out to OK Player. Like honestly, like it really snowball, like it had a snowball effect. Fela Sol ended up winning like best independent album of the year from like NPR and Soul Train, all these different outlets, and I was doing like interviews with MTV and all these places, and
that's so cool.
And then at that point I was just like, well, I just graduated college, I could either go get a job or I could like pursue this music thing full time now that I have this momentum and this is taken off. And so that's what I did. I continued doing what I call the Soulmates Project, which is basically this series where I combine different artists from different genres and time periods, like the Fela Kuti de la Soul thing, to create something new. And so a year later, I did Bizarre Tribe, which was a combination of the Tribe Called Quest and the Far Side, two of my favorite rap groups. And that led to some crazy, that led to the cease and desist from Sony, which we responded to with an open letter pinned by my brother Ricky Mindlin. Actually, shout out to him. But he wrote the open letter to Sony, which is basically kind of explaining our situation. Like Sony was coming after us, saying that they shut it down because they said we were using Tribe Called Quest samples, basically. And while in a way that's kind of true, the album was a tribute to Tribe Called Quest and Far Side, but technically the album didn't use any samples from Tribe Called Quest. It used the original samples that Tribe Called Quest used, and then I took those and reinterpreted them into new beats. So I was using like the original jazz, funk, soul recordings that Tribe had lifted and used to create their production. So anyway, we were just kind of explaining that in our open letter. Like, look, you guys, you kind of got it twisted here. I mean, come after us all you want, but just get the facts straight first. You know what I mean? And so
they're doing kind of a do as I say, not as I do kind of bullshit there because Tribe, they sampled those samples. Like, you did the same thing they did.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know how many of those samples Tribe actually cleared, and I think that's still a gray area for pretty much every hip hop record.
It was a different era. It's kind of like 90s. That. It's like that Paul's Boutique, Beastie Boys thing where they're like, this whole album would be illegal to make.
Yeah, exactly.
now that people actually give a shit. But back then, like late 80s, early 90s, you could get away with so much.
Yeah. So anyway, the Bizarre Tribe thing, led to the cease and desist, and then, but it also led to like me touring with the Far Side and like doing an official track with them and like building a friendship and a relationship. So it was like, and same thing with like the, another great example is the Yazin Gay project that I did, which combined Marvin Gaye and Mos Def, or formerly Mos Def, now known as Yazin Bey. I did the volume 1. That was a huge success. Again, same thing, like a bunch of interviews, bunch of press, went viral on the internet. But then it got shut down, for copyright. Once again, I got a cease and desist, like maybe, I don't know, 2 weeks after releasing it. And so then I was just like, okay, let's do volume 2. And so I did volume 2 and put that out in response, kind of almost in response to getting shut down. I was just like, okay, we can keep doing this all day.
Yeah.
And so I put out volume 2, and, again, just a testament to the power of like, I guess asking for forgiveness instead of permission, or just believing in what you do. Because like I put out volume 2, and then like a few months later, Apple reached out to me and were like, hey, we love this track. We want to use this in our new iPad series of iPad commercials. We'll get the clearance and we'll sort everything out. And we did, we were able to get the clearance from Marvin Gaye's estate and from Yazin Bey's camp and Interscope and Universal, and put out the single and, officially released this illegal mashup 6 months prior as an official remix, on iTunes and Apple Music.
Yeah.
It was everywhere. And, it was playing during the Super Bowl that year. And so,
fuck yeah. There's nothing like getting a corporation like Apple behind you.
yeah, exactly. No, they definitely pulled all the strings. I think, if it weren't for them, I don't, because I won't say Interscope and Universal weren't interested in it, but I don't think they really saw potential in it the way Apple did. You know what I mean?
Apple,
the record industries are still pretty closed-minded, and
they still got that Steve Jobs visionary vibe.
yeah.
There's a minor anecdote you left out, but if you don't mind, I want to
Yeah,
share.
yeah.
Because I know that it's not important because like obviously they couldn't put out the fire once you'd release the music. It was everywhere. It's on the internet. It's it's like a sex tape, man. It's like it's out there.
Exactly.
You're gonna ever get it. You're not gonna put that back in the bottle. But you did do one additional thing, which was you took it and you at the college we both went to, you went to the music library. Added it to the library under some kind of clause, some kind of educational law, meaning it can't be touched there, so that no matter what they did, you can always just go to the library and check it out. And
check it out. You can put a pair of headphones on. You can sit there in the little listening booth and listen to it all you want. Yeah. No, that's amazing. I keep forgetting to include that little anecdote. Yeah,
I love it because it is the one truly legal way you can listen to that album. Is just go to Middle Tennessee State University, go to the music library, look it up, and if you're if you're really a stickler to to obeying the law. That is the one way you can listen to this album without, with no gray area. It's protected under the Educational Law Act. I don't know what it's fucking called.
Fair use.
Dude, let's talk about Radical Dreamers, man. It's the main reason. Like, it's not the main. I mean, I just wanted to see you again. I wanted to talk to you again. Likewise, but obviously, when Radical Dreamers came out, I heard it and I was like, holy fucking shit, this is amazing. So
thank you, bro.
That's my own personal. People don't need to hear me talk, man. They came here to hear you. But let's talk about Radical Dreamers, man.
Thank you, bro.
What is the concept? Who was involved? What did it take to get this album done, man? So there's a lot going on here.
There is a lot going on. Yeah. No, it's a passion project. It's definitely a labor of love, and like I said, it's almost kind of like me and reinventing myself and kind of my reintroduction to the world, or as you say, like not really a reintroduction, because it's just introducing who I've always been to the world. Because I think, for the past 10 years or so, like, again, I've only been showing my fans like a small slice. These mashup projects is just a very small slice of who I am as an artist, and like, I'm a three-dimensional human being, just like all of us. I have thoughts, I have opinions, I have ideas, I have bars and raps and beats and like all these things I want to share with people outside of just the mashup realm. And so that's what Radical Dreamers was. And yeah, I mean, it came about, shout out to DJ DN3, honestly, because he's my partner in crime. He's my partner in sound on this project. He produced most of it. I produced a couple remixes and some of the interludes, but he produced most of the beats. And that was kind of fun for me too, because usually I produce my own stuff and I produce other people's stuff. But it really gave me a chance to kind of just step back and focus on getting my thoughts out of my head and onto paper.
Yeah, I was surprised to see that, actually, because like you said, you generally produce your own stuff. I was like kind of surprised. It was like, oh, you worked with another guy to like, so that's cool.
Yeah, that's another part of the, it was already a left turn kind of from what my fans are used to in terms of me rapping, but then it's also like, oh, he's working with this other producer. So yeah, it was kind of a left turn from. And again, that's kind of like, why the whole Andre thing kind of helped articulate kind of how I was feeling about it at the moment. But yeah, what was I going to say? No, I guess, what was I going to say about that is just like, sometimes, I really enjoy rapping on other people's beats. It's just something like that. It pulls different emotions out of me that I didn't know were there. And like, sometimes when you make the beat yourself, you just kind of, it gets played out, like you listen to it for hours on loop. And then by the time you want to sit down and write something to it, it's already old to you, even though nobody else has heard it. And so there's something really exciting to me about working with other producers. And it's something I want to continue doing. I'm actually working on another project with one of Art's homies that went to high school with us, Satoru. He's like a little younger than us, but he does kind of like, I would say like electronic kind of hip hop stuff. And so we've got another project we're working on. And so, yeah, it's been really fun to kind of collaborate with the other producers. But anyway, DJ DN3, man, he's really dope. He's one of Mega Ran's kind of go-to producers. They've kind of grew up together and have been producing music for a long time. And so I guess the whole seeds for Radical Dreamers kind of came about organically, really, like out of the project that me and Megaran did last year, the Stranger Things inspired project. So basically last year during the whole Kate Bush summer.
Yeah. Summer. I forgot that was like a Kate Bush song. What's that song? Running up that hill, gotta make a deal with God. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's weird how like something like that it'll be like it's like the zeitgeist of like our, you know, of your life. It's like that song was like the biggest song. You know, every single person on Instagram put that song to one of their fucking videos.
Yeah, exactly.
And I forgot it existed until just now. I knew, and you're like the Kate Bush summer, and I was like, oh yeah,
that's what I call it now, the Kate Bush summer.
No, that's the best way to put it. I've just never put two and two together that there was a Kate Bush summer.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, during that Kate Bush summer, like I had the Running Up the Hill on repeat. It was on the radio, it was everywhere, and gassed everywhere I went. Yeah, I couldn't stop hearing the song. So of course, being an MC, I just started writing some rhymes to it. And before I knew it, I had like 4 verses or something and a whole song written to this Kate Bush. And so anyway, I'm getting to Radical Dreamers. I'm just kind of explaining how it all came about. But anyway, you know, it started with the Stranger Things Kate Bush. I started writing some rhymes to it, and then, you know, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna post like a little. I didn't even post a snippet. I just posted like I was working on some Stranger Things stuff, which I'm usually pretty secretive about what I'm doing or working on until like it's ready, till I'm ready, till I got the masters in hand and I'm ready to share it with the world. I usually don't really like get on there and get on social and tweet about what I'm working on unless it's like in the bag. But this time I was just like, fuck it. I got on Twitter and Instagram. I posted like, hey, I'm working on some Stranger Things remixes, you know, would y'all be down to hear that? You know, like just kind of gauge if my fans would even be interested in hearing something like that. And then Megaran replied to me immediately. He was like, you working on some Stranger Things? I'm working on some Stranger Things. What's up, dog? What we doing? And so he sent me a DM. We started talking, and he had already done a whole Strangers mixtape for, you know, I guess, you know, the first season or something a couple of years back. And so we kind of brainstormed and came up with the idea of just doing a whole project, me and him, you know, kind of tag teaming. And, you know, I produced some of the beats, and then he reached out to a bunch of his other producers, and they supplied some of the other beats too. And one of those producers was DJ DN3. And so that, long story short, that's kind of how I got introduced to DJ DN3. It was through the Strangers project that I did with Megaran. I was already a huge fan. I mean, I'd known of Megaran. I've been a fan of DJ DN3's work for a long time. You know, I've been bumping their music for a long time, but this was the first time I actually got to collaborate with them.
Yeah.
Or with DJ DN3. I'd already done some stuff with Megaran, but anyway, that's kind of how the seeds of Radical Dreamers started. So that project, you know, we put it out. It was a big success, you know. And then shortly after that, DN3 started hitting me with beats. You know, he just slid in my DMs, was like, yo, we should start working together. Like, you know, I really dug what you did with Strangers, and likewise, the admiration was mutual. So he started sending me beats, and I just started writing to him. And I didn't really have any plan or idea at the time. It was just kind of like whatever inspired me, kind of whatever the beat was rocking with, I would just kind of go on my own tangent. But at the time I was playing Chrono Cross, the remastered version, the Radical Dreamers edition on Nintendo Switch, which came out that year or last year, which is basically like a remastered kind of version of one of my favorite games growing up on PlayStation. It was called, well, basically Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross are kind of 2 games in the same series.
Oh yeah. I do have to stop you right here because myself being someone who's like, you know, I'm not really a gamer, so like some of the stuff is unfamiliar to me. Like I said, like I enjoy the music, I love the music, but like a lot of the backstory, a lot of the inspiration, that's really unfamiliar territory to me. So like maybe if you like, just for people like that are also like me that don't quite get it, like like what is this, like a role-playing game type thing? Like
yeah, you know, I'm a huge, you know, I mean, really, like one of the main reasons I got into making music and music production in general was for my love of like Japanese role-playing games and video games and the soundtracks growing up. And so like one of my first experiences making beats was with this program called or is a game called MTV Music Generator for PS1. And I would sit on that game all day trying to recreate my favorite like video game soundtracks from like Chrono Trigger or, you know, Final Fantasy and stuff. And so anyway, it's kind of a full circle thing because like, you know, as much as I'm a hip hop head, like it all kind of started with video games and like soundtracks for me. And so I guess this album is kind of a tribute to that. and yeah, the games themselves, that the album Radical Dreamers is kind of loosely based. I say loosely based because a lot of the songs don't really. There's maybe a couple tracks that have Easter eggs or like references to the games, or samples and stuff, but it's mostly just kind of the concept of the idea that it's inspired by. But basically, Chrono Trigger was one of the first big like role-playing RPG games to come out on Super Nintendo. It came out in 95, and it was pretty revolutionary at the time in terms of like just, it offered the ability to travel through time, and there was all these different multiple endings. They were really pushing the boundaries, I guess, of what games were capable of at that time, musically, visually, story-wise. And so again, it's become like now, I think if you look up like top 10 video games of all time, top 10 RPGs of all time, it's always on that list. I don't know what rank, but it's always up there. And the music composed by Yasunori Mitsuda, Japanese composer, was also just like one of the best video game soundtracks of all time, in my opinion, and I'm sure a lot of others. So that had a big influence on me growing up. And so it's kind of like where kind of some of the ideas for Radical Dreamers came from. Radical Dreamers is actually, it's the name of a group of bandits and treasure seeking pirates in the game that are kind of trying to like change the fabric of time and save the world. And so I guess it's kind of an homage to that, and kind of just video game culture in general, and kind of like my love for it, and kind of where my love for music all started. But also, just kind of a tribute to the power of radically dreaming too, and really like going after it and being relentless and radical with your dream chasing, because I think that's something that's gotten me to where I am in life, and it's something that I see in others, and really the album is kind of a call to all artists and creators and people to just like go after it and like really chase those dreams as radically as you can. And
yeah, man. Hell yeah. Oh,
yeah.
I love the way you put that. I stand behind like your words 100%, man, like in my own life and like my own beliefs about how like, radically dream, man. Go for it. Go fuck the fuck out,
Yeah. Well, like I said in my post, it's like sometimes people think what you're doing is radical because they just don't understand it yet. And so that word can get thrown around or misused, but I kind of co-opted it back to make it a positive thing. Like, the radical left, everybody like kind of always uses that term as this negative kind of connotation. But I think
that's fucked up too, because radical is like my, first of all, one of my most used and most favorite words. I guess I say rad a lot, but I still say radical sometimes too.
No, the year I went to Burning Man in 2017, the theme was radical ritual. So I'm definitely with some radical pursuit for sure. So anyway, that's kind of like the backstory on the album a little bit. Again, it doesn't really, if you're a huge Chrono Trigger fan, you're a hardcore gamer, and you're expecting this album to be like a full transcription of all the events that happen in the game and all the characters, it's not that. Like I said, there's some Easter eggs, there's some samples, there's some references. I have a track called Wings of Time, which is basically where I transport my old car, the 77 Mercedes Benz that I used to drive in high school. So basically on this track, the track is kind of like me transforming that into a time traveling, spaceship that I can just travel the galaxy with and go anywhere. And
I love it too. Man. I love creativity, dude. I like how you just take things in a different direction, and like, or in some ways, like kind of like you just said, bring it back to something old too, like something that's been forgotten. Like a lot of people also like don't necessarily think about like these Japanese composers in the 1990s, creating like these incredibly memorable soundtracks to these games that you'll never ever forget. It's like Sonic the Hedgehog was probably the game I played the most, and it's like, at any point in my life, I haven't played that game in 20 something years, I don't know, but like if you were to play me like a couple bars off any level, I could tell you what level of the game that was. You know what I mean? I'll be oh, that's the Labyrinth Zone, dude. That's Hilltop or the Green Hilltop or whatever the fuck, Hey, speaking of games, man, I recently I saw you made a little music video. I only saw a clip. I haven't seen the whole thing. I don't know where to find it. I don't know if it's on YouTube or if like, I know you said sometimes you're secretive with your projects. They're not
no, yeah.
They're fully available.
Yeah.
But this was Legend of Zelda, and I absolutely loved it. What I got to see of it, I think I got to see a 30-second cut of it. And you made a music video with the game itself. Actually, before I have a question in here before I get to that. What is that part? Is that part of some other project? Is that just a thing you just did just for the love of just doing that one thing?
It was kind of a one thing. Yeah, it was just a one-off thing. It was like the Zelda, I don't know, 30th anniversary, I think, back like a year or two ago. It was coming up, and I think I had just been like replaying. I think I was playing Breath of the Wild on Switch. Again, it's usually I'm just like inspired because I'm playing games or I'm replaying old games or watching somebody stream or Twitch a game or something. But yeah, with the Zelda, it was a one-off thing, and I was just super inspired to kind of like, I just, again, with the Kate Bush, it's like I just throw on some track and rhymes just start forming. And so a lot of times it just happens organically like that, where I don't, it's not like I sat down and was like, I'm going to make a Zelda track today. Like, no, I just threw on the soundtrack while I was walking my dog and rhymes started coming to me, and that's how, same with Kate Bush, but that's how most of my songs come about now. But no, I would like to, maybe explore doing more stuff. Like I have been like, aside from doing, raps and mixtapes and stuff like that, I have been like dabbling in composing original music for video games and game soundtracks and things like that. And I've been like doing game jams and working with like indie game developers just for free to kind of get my feet wet, learn the software, and like learn how to do sound design, which is completely new to me, making sound effects for games and stuff. But I'm starting to build like a little demo reel of some of the games I've worked on. And anyway, and so I started this basically an imprint of kind of my label Soulmates that's called Retrograde Arcade, where because I was kind of looking for a place to house all this stuff that I'm game related stuff that I'm doing. It kind of siphons it off from like all the mixtapes and mashups and other stuff that I do. So I created this imprint called Retrograde Arcade. And so now through that label, I'm going to be releasing like more game kind of related content, or, the soundtracks that I do for various games, Radical Dreamers, the Zelda remix, the time traveling, the original time traveling, which was, again, that was kind of the seed for Radical Dreamers. I in 2020, I dropped a song called Time Traveling, which is an ode to Chrono Trigger. And then I guess Radical Dreamers is kind of like a continuation of that story or a continuation of that universe. But anyway, Retrograde Arcade.
I remember where I was going with that. Is that
sorry? Yeah.
Oh no! Like I was the one that went off I go on tangents, man. No, but I was gonna say with obviously like Radical Dreamers, Chrono Trigger, Zelda. Are there any other games like where you would think you might be inspired to do something like do a track like kind of like in the that vein where like the game itself inspires the song? Is there anything off the top of your head where you think that could possibly be where it's got the depth that's going to inspire you to throw like some lyrics together?
What, just another game that I haven't done yet, or what?
Yeah, like a game you haven't done yet that you think like has like the depth of creativity that's like it's worth it. It's like that it's like worth your time to go like, you know what, I haven't touched on this, but this would be kind of a cool thing to do.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know. I would probably pick something kind of, even Chrono Cross is kind of obscure, but I would probably pick something that's kind of slept on and obscure, because like a lot of the famous ones, like they've been done either really well or not so well. And mostly, shouts to Mega Ran and like Lost Perception, those guys, like they've been doing this, K Murdoch, like these guys have been doing this for like decades before I even started dabbling in the whole like video game rap nerdcore scene. But like those guys, like Black Materia, the Final Fantasy VII tape that Lost Perception and Mega Ran did, it's like Hamilton, but Final Fantasy. It's like, I don't think anybody could ever top that in terms of like,
dude, I gotta check it out. They did like a Hamilton of Final Fantasy.
Basically, yeah,
so fucking cool.
and again, it different from Radical Dreamers. It is kind of like a note by note retelling of the game, but there's a lot of personal stuff that he puts into it as well. But it is kind of more true to the source material, I guess, than Radical Dreamers is. Where Radical Dreamers is me kind of using the game as a platform to tell my story, whereas like Mega Ran was really kind of telling the game's story, but in his own voice, in his own way, and kind of persona. Anyway, it's amazing. Black Materia by Mega Ran and Lost Perception. So that came out the same year that Fela Sol came out in 2011.
Yeah.
And I didn't know Mega Ran at the time, but I found out about it because I saw on Bandcamp, like that week that Fela Sol came out, I saw Black Materia pop up on the homepage as like Fela Sol and Black Materia were the best-selling albums on Bandcamp that week. And
great.
And I didn't know who Mega Ran was at the time. I just released Fela Sol. This was 2011, and I, of course, I was a huge Final Fantasy nerd, so I was like, "What is this Black Materia?" I clicked on it, went down the rabbit hole, became a huge fan of Mega Ran.
Yeah.
And then years later, I met him at a conference in Cali in the Bay. I went to some game and music conference, Mag West out there. It's called Music and Games Conference. And I bumped into Mega Ran out there, and obviously I ran up on him. I was like, "Yo, I'm a huge fan, big fan of your stuff." He knew who I was. We'd had some back and forths online, email, over the years. But we connected.
I love your man. I love your track record for ending up working with people that you were originally fans of. It's you got a solid record of doing that, man. And I hope that you manage to continue doing that for like the rest of your life, dude.
Yeah, man. It's definitely one of the most rewarding parts about my whole career thus far, is just these relationships that I'm building and being able to like collaborate with my my idols and peers.
Hold up. It's time for a special announcement. When I first fell on that patch of ice and landed on my keys, they said I'd never rap again. But after all these years, I heard Amerigo's new album, Radical Dreamers, and I knew that I had to copy his idea and do a song about a video game. As some of you may know, I'm a year older than Amerigo, so I did a even older video game. It's a concept album that I'm very proud of, and here's a little bit to give you guys an idea of what we've been working on.
I got a covered wagon and I do as I please, but if I could go anywhere or do anything, I'd go to Oregon. On the Oregon Trail, you're about to get a fucking postcard in the mail. Oregon Trail. Jack just died cause he got a snake bite, and Barry got dysentery just last night. They told me buy food at the mercantile store, but I bought more bullets cause I'm not a fucking dork. On the Oregon Trail, you're about to get a fucking postcard in the mail.
Wow, I'm deep. I'm so proud of that. And now back to the interview.
I don't know if you've recalled since your last time on the podcast, man, but we end every episode with a lightning round. But I no longer write them, so now they're a surprise to me as well, which I feel like adds a lot more of fun to it. Oh, hell yeah. You have gotten a Mad Lib. So that's going to be, I'm just going to say adjective, noun, verb to you. And we are going to write a story called The Legend of Gelda, a Mad Lib story by co-producer Colleen, co-written by Amerigo Gazaway.
Wow, you guys really pulled out all the stops here. Okay,
dude, you're a two-time guest now, man. You're like you're in the gold club.
A veteran, man.
Yeah. Only thing up from this is three-time guest to be platinum club,
triple platinum.
All right, adjective.
It's always got to be like smelly or something.
That's good. Magical creature.
Sphinx.
That's a really good one, dude. Plural noun.
Tostadas. I'm hungry. What can I say?
Yeah, I'm actually, me too. Adjective.
Ironclad.
Damn. That's the thing about having you on here. You're a wordsmith, dude. Adjective.
Interesting. Is that an adjective?
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's a really good one.
So vague.
Animal plural.
Some sort of Australian like platypus or something. I don't know, like some weird marsupial like that. Yeah.
Are you putting me on the spot to not know how to do the pluralization of platypus? Is it platypi? I'm gonna guess it's platypi. I don't know. Platypussies. Okay, you know what? I'm actually putting platypussies because it's funnier, and I'm not entirely sure that platypi is the other one. Oh, a nonsense word.
A nonsense word. Zorg. I don't know.
Zorg.
Some sort of alien, like the planet Zorg from.
Yeah, that sounds good. Celebrity last name.
DiCaprio. I'm trying to think of one that's not like Smith. I was like Will Smith, Keanu Reeves. I was like, that's not very interesting.
Yeah. Well, are we Smith? Jones.
Yeah.
Guess who I was thinking of when I said Jones? Tommy Lee, baby.
Tommy Lee.
Adjective.
Liquefied.
And occupation.
Bus driver.
Bus driver.
School bus driver.
School bus driver. Got it. School bus driver. Weather related adjective. Is as in like sunny, icy.
Yeah, sure. You said them all, right? What other?
Rainy, gloomy, sunny. Overcast, hot, cold.
Yeah. Let's just do. Yeah.
Temperate.
Let's just do icy.
Icy. Okay. I want to say that you're being a really, really good sport. Adjective.
Messy.
Mythical creature, plural.
Do we say dragons? I'm trying to think of something more interesting than a dragon and more kind of like mermaids.
Sure. That's a really good one, man.
I don't know. Because dragons are just so Game of Thrones cliche. Like,
yeah,
too many dragons.
I am partial to Sasquatches myself. I consider myself a bit of a
luck dragon. That's my dog is named Falcor after Falcor the luck dragon. Oh, cool. So yeah, maybe that should be a plural mythical creature at some point.
Let's see if we get another one. What is this?
Yeah.
Name of a lake.
Plitvice, Croatia. I don't know how. Yeah, if you know
Jesus
how to spell
Christ,
that.
dude. Will you just like phonetically tell me to do that? I have to write this down with a pen.
Yeah. Plitvice. Plitvice.
Plitvice. Like pizza. Plitvice. Yeah. Lake Plitvice.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay, plural noun. We're getting very close. I swear. We are really a home stretch here.
Plural noun: person, place, or thing. Unidentified spacecrafts.
Can I just write UFO?
Sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's shorthand for unidentified.
Well, last time you were on here, we had a really long conversation about UFOs. I don't know if you recall that. We did. Yeah, there was a lot of UFO stuff going on in the news. That's when the Navy had first released those videos. Plural noun, another one.
Giraffes.
And then one more plural noun, if you do not mind.
Oh my goodness. Video games. Sure.
Hell yeah. All right. Last one, dude. Adjective.
It's got to be a good one.
Yeah, you really want to kind of hit it with a bang here at the end. Stinky.
Always like Mad Libs, right? You got to be like.
I was just thinking about I Think You Should Leave, where he's like, "What do you want in the car?" And he's like, "Stinky." he's like, "You want that in a car?" I'm sorry, man. Did you say an adjective and I talked over you?
No, I'm blanking out. Why don't you pick it this time? Come on.
Well, that's not how the game is played.
That's not how the game works. Okay. Glittery.
I like that. See, man, you had it there all along. All right. Let us hear the tale. The Legend of Gelda, a Mad Lib story by co-producer Colleen, co-written by Amerigo Gazaway, and read to you by your favorite narrator, Doug McDonald. Once upon a time, there was a smelly kingdom that had been taken over by an evil sphinx named Manon, who wanted to control the kingdom's tostadas. Tired of Manon's ironclad rule, elf-like creature Dink and Princess Gelda set out to save their home. First, Dink and Gelda had to fight interesting platypussies in the Zorg forest. Then they had to scale Mount DiCaprio and face the liquefied school bus driver at the icy summit. Next, they bravely fought the messy mermaids of Lake Plitvice, using only UFOs, giraffes, and their wits. Through the power of friendship, magical video games, and a bit of luck, Dink and Gelda sent Manon back to the glittery hell from whence he came, this time for good. Or did they? The end.
Wow.
That was a roller coaster of emotion for me.
That was insanely well produced, well written.
Yeah. Wow.
I think that could totally.
I think
we need to turn that into like a Netflix series or something. I think Netflix could pick that up.
I think that this is the new Stranger Things. Amerigo, I have one last question to ask you, dude, and it's the most important question of the day. Where can people find you, follow you? Where can they find Radical Dreamers? All of your music, of course, but we talked about Radical Dreamers today. But I mean, guys, listen to me. Everything Amerigo makes is fucking dope to listen to. Radical Dreamers just happens to be my current favorite project of his. And I'll stop talking.
Brother. Thank you, brother. Yo, thanks for having me on. It's been a pleasure. My name is Amerigo Gazaway. You can find me at amerigomusic.com. Social media, Amerigo Gazaway. Sometimes it's with a dot in between the Amerigo and the Gazaway. Sometimes it's not. Sorry about that. I'll try to make it consistent at some point. But yeah, amerigomusic.com, soulmatesrecords.com. That's my label. Radical Dreamers is my new hip hop album, rap album with DJ DN3. I also just dropped a Christmas album. Well, actually, it's called Another Christmas Album. It's a follow-up to my last Christmas album, which was called A Christmas Album. So this one's called Another Christmas Album. Just came out last Friday. So if you're in the holiday spirit, go check it out. The first Christmas album was just instrumental. This one is me rapping the whole way through. I got a couple features from Dylan, Napoleon the Legend, A1, Christmas rapping. There's some funny songs on there. There's some heartfelt stuff, a little something for everybody. And yeah, that's me. Thank you for having me on, brother. It's been a pleasure catching up with you.
Oh, yes. And it's been a pleasure. And it didn't even occur to me. I probably should have mentioned that you do have a Christmas album coming out, and this episode is coming out right before Christmas. So
there you go. Perfect timing.
Cop that. All right, Amerigo, man. Thank you so much for being on the podcast, man. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, likewise, bro. Let's keep in touch. Much love.
Yo, what happened, man? Ugh, my head. What is this place? Where am I? Shh, just relax. Found you passed out on the beach. You shouldn't be moving too much. Here, just take two of these. Yeah. Good music for the soul is what you're trying to find, to ease the stress from the grind when it's time to unwind. Then look no further, cause we got just what you need. Doctor's orders, call me in the morning, take two of these. And if you're having withdrawals from music addiction, all you have to do is call and we can fill your prescription. No symptoms, cause we got just what you need. Doctor's orders, call me in the morning, rinse and repeat. Check. Always coming correct, when mostly so-called rappers just mumbling under their breath. See you and now in the presence of one of the best. A lot was sacrificed to get here, but we mustn't forget. Behind the scenes, y'all don't see all the blood and the sweat. Back in the day, I used to dream about what could be next. Getting daps like, thanks for the wonderful set. Collaborating with artists that I love and respect. Never thought that hip-hop would take it this far. They thought I'd never make it, but I'm headed straight for the stars. This shit is harder, yeah. You can feel the bass in your car. No time to waste, seize the day and don't wait for tomorrow. Life is hard, but we stay strong, never getting discouraged. You can do anything you want, all it takes is some courage. I put it all on the line every time that I rhyme. For all the fans who stand in line with the vinyl to sign. If good music for the soul is what you're trying to find, to ease the stress from the grind when it's time to unwind, then look no further, cause we got just what you need. Doctor's orders, call me in the morning.